university is the best time to try entrepreneurship in some way or form, right? It doesn't have to be, a startup where you have to quit your degree. It can be something small.
Right.
But I think everyone should go through the experience of selling a product or a service.
Right.
Hi, hello, namaste to all my listeners. I'm your host Sarthak Varshney, and I welcome you all to the Balls of Steel show, where you get an insight into the business mindset of the entrepreneurs. Dhandho Ni Soch.
So, hi guys, and welcome back to the Balls of Steel show. And this is a very, very, very special episode. Now, the reason this is a special episode, first of all, this is our first video episode. Like, legit, this is the first one. And this just makes me very, very excited that, what we are doing and the guest that we have right now. Second stuff that makes me excited is the guest himself. So, we have got this amazing coffee you're already seeing in my hand. Okay? So, Sleepy Owl founder, or co-founder, I would say, Arman Sood is there with us. Hi, Arman. How are you?
Hi, Sarthak. Very well. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And congratulations on the first video podcast.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being my first guest on the show. It really means a lot to me. I mean, this is like very different. So before we really go ahead and do anything, so we would start with the signature question, okay? That even though everyone can see, but still, it's the signature of the podcast, okay? So what's the business that you are into, because of which we are gonna say that you have got the balls of steel?
Okay, so I'm currently in the business of creating fantastic coffee experiences for customers through our innovative and differentiated coffee products.
Mm-hmm.
I run a company called Sleepy Owl Coffee that started in 2016. And for the last 6 years, we've been caffeinating India. And we've brought a wave, a sensation in the country by differentiating coffee in a way that people have never experienced before.
Wow. I mean, guys, see. First of all, मैंने बहुत branding marketing कर दी. Just at the point when Arman was saying कि he's doing this, the coffee is really amazing. Like legit, I'm not
Thank you.
kidding.
Thank you.
So Arman,
Cheers.
kudos to you on the coffee part. This is cheers ka rule. You drink it after that. Okay. So the coffee is really amazing. And if you haven't tried it, do try it. It's available in all your nearby stores 24/7, and all the stores available, all the good stores. So go out, pick one. Now, Arman, let's actually get into the conversation, right? So we understand the business that you're doing, the coffee business. It's a very different business. It's a competitive business, right? And you know there's so many people out there doing this. But before we get into the business, I would love to talk about you, because honestly, your story is what excites me more. There's so many aspects to your story. Like, we all know, many people follow you, that you're a fitness person. You are so much into yoga, meditation, and entrepreneurship has been in your blood. I don't know since when. So right. So Arman, we'll start from the very starting point of your life. Forget everything. Forget the journey right now. We'll start from the very starting point of your life. That where were you born? What did you do? And so start from the very starting point and tell me everything till the current point at which you are.
Fantastic. So I was born in Delhi. My dad has been a businessman all his life.
Right.
My mother at the time I was born wasn't working, but we were born in Delhi, my brother and I. And when I was 4, my father decided to shift back to his hometown in Calcutta.
Okay.
And that's where I grew up.
Okay.
I did my schooling in Calcutta at this fantastic school called St. James's School. I was there all the way from nursery till the 12th grade.
Okay.
Till I was 18 years old. My schooling was phenomenal. I really enjoyed, the school I was in. It was a day school. I never had the experience of a boarding school. So I would go to school, be with my friends, do my studies, come back home, And I had a fantastic home life, very encouraging parents, very supportive parents. Always ensured that while we were studying and while we were, working hard to get good grades, my brother and I were encouraged to participate in extracurricular activities, sport, continue to explore diverse skills, right? And I'm very thankful that my parents gave us that opportunity, to be free. There was no pressure. We were allowed to explore and, understand our talents and learn new things. And, fortunately, very, very supportive parents, good home life. And school was fantastic as well. Um, During my school days, there was, like every other kid, yeah, there was confusion about karna kya hai school ke baad, right? So I too, like everyone else, had that inherent confusion. But to make life, you can say simpler or more complicated, I took physics, chemistry, math, and bio. I said, ठीक है, डॉक्टर बनना है डॉक्टर बन सकते हैं, engineer बनना है engineer बन सकते हैं. And fortunately for me at that time, my parents were like, चलो ये दोनों भी नहीं करना तो आप कुछ भी कर सकते हो, you're free, But I did study very hard in my 11th and 12th grade with the intention to become a doctor. But somewhere on that journey, I started getting very disinterested in either of those professions, Typically the average Indian is pushed towards either of those. But I started getting disinterested. And when I graduated school, actually, I requested my parents that I don't want to do either. And my father was the one who suggested that, Arman, you are a debater and you enjoy talking and, you enjoy arguing and you spend a lot of time arguing with us. So why not explore the legal profession? And the legal profession is up and coming and, you'd make a good lawyer. So why not? And I actually found merit in what he was saying. I did my research, did my due diligence, and I was like, yes, the legal profession does seem very fascinating. And I spent 2 months, pulling all-nighters to prepare for the entrance examinations.
Wow.
And, I got selected and went to a university called Jindal Global Law School in Sonipat, Haryana. It was a new university at the time, but definitely seemed like, a place where, because it's also new, there would be a lot of opportunities that would come our way, right? So I always believe that, you don't need to go to the number 1 university. You can go to the number 10 university, but be the number 1 student,
True.
So that is more important. So I said, Jindal is new. It's exciting. I would be happy to go there. And most kids get dropped to universities by their parents. In fact, there are some whose parents go drop them to the US or the UK also. But I told my parents, this is the opportunity for me to now be on my own, So I'll go, I'll figure it out. You guys chill. So I went to Sonipat, which is in the middle of Haryana, and landed up there and, didn't know anybody, but gradually, adapted to the new environment around me. And that's why I say one of the most important things that anybody must strive to have is adaptability, so that whatever life throws at you, wherever you go, you can adapt to those situations. So Jindal was a phenomenal experience for me. I was there from 2010 to 2015.
Okay.
The first 2 years, 2010 to 2012, I was a dedicated law student, making sure that I'm acing my subjects and participating in all things law and legal. But side by side, I'm a sports fanatic, and I was playing both football and cricket for the university. I immediately got into, and I said, this is again an opportunity to get into every society there is, right? So jahan pe mera interest tha. So I had an interest in human rights society, debate society, mock courts, moot court society. So sab mein maine pair ghusa diya. So one thing I compromised on in those 2 years was sleep. I was surviving on 2-3 hours of sleep, but trying to be an overachiever. Let's put it that way, right? Trying to do everything, be everywhere. And it was during this period, of these 2 years that I also, tried and applied for and got into the theatre society, and I was actually the lead actor for 2 plays.
Wow.
2 musicals where, I'm not a dancer per se.
Right.
I like dancing but usually when I drink or I'm out somewhere, yeah, shadiyon pe naach lo types. But to formally be a part of like a musical where you're expected to dance and there was no singing fortunately because I can't sing to save my life.
Right.
But there was a lot of dancing and it was choreographed and it was a play essentially, an act. And that threw me out of my comfort zone. It was something I didn't know I could do. But if you don't try, then you will never know, right? So
Absolutely.
did that, learned from that experience. And because I was doing so many things, I made a lot of friends and got to learn from so many other people's experiences. But it was in 2012 where my co-founder Ashwajit, my co-founder at Sleepy Owl now,
Right.
but he became my co-founder back then as well. We were already best friends and we'd spend time together. So while I was doing all these things, he, on the other hand, was had a very entrepreneurial mindset,
Right.
a business mindset. In fact, I can be honest, even at that time, I didn't know what the word entrepreneur meant, right? And he came to me and said, Arman,
Okay.
business, entrepreneurship is a way of doing, owning your time, doing something you want to do, creating something, putting it out there, selling something, and kind of rope me into this idea that, there's a world beyond the four walls of law school or even the career of law, and at least have an open mind to what else can be there.
Right.
So we started talking, brainstorming, looking at things differently, and the more we did that, the more we understood that yes, and we both were convinced that yaar kuch karna hai, start something. The idea of starting something, we had to start.
Right.
We didn't know what it was, but we would spend time looking at industries, reading about entrepreneurs around the world, and we came up with our first business idea. Actually, the first few things that we did were Jindal, as I mentioned, was a new university, so we actually went up to the vice chancellor and requested that the university needs merchandise and hoodies, t-shirts, caps.
Seriously, you guys went to the vice chancellor to do that.
Because it was a new university, there was nobody, there was no.
Were you guys
major-
the first batch?
We were the second batch,
My
right? So there were only
goodness.
200 people on campus at that point in time, and so when we were in our second year, it was about 500 students on campus, and we said that listen, it's time that if this is a global university and if this is
Right.
going to go places, then ek merchandise hona chahiye. So he said, sure, if you guys have an idea, go do it, no problem. So Ashwajit and I actually ran, that was, let's say, our first mini venture, right? Where we actually
Okay.
had to design the merchandise.
Right.
We had to procure the hoodies and the t-shirts. We had to talk to students and get them to fill surveys, get their
Right.
orders in, collect money, place the order with the right supplier, manufacturer, logistics of bringing it to university, booking out the auditoriums to then distribute it to students, then taking complaints ki mujhe fit nahi aa raha, quality bekar hai. So this whole cycle of running this
Right.
made us realize that okay, this whole thing is so exciting.
Right.
We had fun doing it, and we did that for 3 years back to back, and we thoroughly enjoyed the process.
Right.
One of the during this journey, during this experience, we said let's do something slightly bigger, and Ashwajit and I came up with the idea that in India, in the 20 to 30 age group, right, where people are in college or getting out of college, the culture of bar and party accessories,
True.
drinking accessories is not very popular here the way it is, in the West, right? So we, went on Alibaba.com, discovered Alibaba first, then there, imported, we imported bar and party accessories like beer pong tables, beer bongs, whiskey
Okay.
stones, ice shot glasses, and this
Right.
range of products,
Right.
and set up an e-commerce website, and we started selling these products direct to consumer, B2C,
Right.
online, in 2012. So
Right.
today in 2020, you hear direct to consumer as like this term.
It's
Right.
like a very common term.
It's a
right
very
now.
common term, overused. But in 2012, we were selling directly from our website to our consumers
Right.
around the country. So we had our social media pages up. Instagram was barely there. It was mostly Facebook. We set up a brand. We did PR. We did logistics. We also tried a little bit of B2B where we started selling it to other party stores in the country. We sold it on other marketplace websites, obviously not Amazon at that time, but
Right.
websites that, I don't know if anyone remembers, fashionandyou.com, Design Deal. These were marketplaces that existed in 2012, 13, where we
Right.
got in touch with the category managers and we listed our products and we sold our products on these websites. So those 3
Right.
years, 2012 to 15, we really learned a lot about actually running a business, actually selling products, actually marketing products, actually doing PR, and we were very excited about the possibilities that entrepreneurship gives us, right?
So what was the name of the business?
It was called eShack.
eShack.
Yeah, so like a shack on the
Right,
internet where
right.
you have party accessories.
So tell me first. I mean, before we move ahead on this
Yeah,
part,
yeah.
right? Was this name derived from the shack, which is like the only shack which is near Opajindal?
No, actually, no, it wasn't. In our mind, it was like, you're partying in Goa and you party in shacks.
Right.
So this is a shack on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was
Okay.
called
Okay.
eShack Bar and Party Accessories.
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. ठीक है. So yeah. So you start selling and then.
And then, obviously, like I said, we were no Mark Zuckerberg, so there was no
Right.
dropping out of university. There was no, let's skip law school altogether. Like,
Right.
I think our parents had invested in the business. They gave us the seed capital to start. They had strict instructions. The capital came with instructions that you have to maintain your attendance, you have to maintain your grades, you have to finish your law school. There is no way you will not finish your law school.
Right.
So, with these sort of rules and regulations, right? And obviously, 2012 to 15, D2C or selling online is not how it is today.
Right.
Right, payment gateways were just coming in place.
Right.
COD was complicated. Very limited courier partners that you could work with. It wasn't as seamless as it is today, right? So I think we were very, very early in the industry, in e-commerce. Very, very early.
Right.
We were also, in law school. We were, had to do our studies and grades and all of that. So, overall, I think to be fair and to be honest, the business failed. It did not get our 100% attention. I don't think the world around us was ready for it either. And, we were 19. We weren't ready for it either. We had no clue what we were doing.
19, but still you did the business and you ran eShack for how long?
3 years till we graduated, 2015.
2012 to 2015 you did eShack.
Yeah.
You ran it, you did the PR, you got on the marketplaces, you sold. What do you remember the maximum revenue you guys touched?
Yeah, I think we did about 3.5-4 lakhs a month at a good point, but that only lasted for, it was only a declining trend.
No, I understand it was a declining trend, but as a first venture, man, this was a big experience at the age of 19, 20.
Absolutely.
You making 3 to 4 lakhs, that's way too much. Like,
Yeah,
honestly.
so I remember, I was sitting in class in law school and I received a, purchase order, worth 50,000-60,000 rupees, if I'm not wrong. And, I kind of mini exclaimed, like, yes. And my friend beside me, she was like, what happened? Like the teacher's teaching and what are you excited about? So I just said, I've got an order. So I don't think it made too much sense to the people around us either. But for us, it was, very exciting.
That's very, very exciting. I mean, honestly, I I don't know how much profit were you making at that point of time. None. Even if you guys were on break, were you guys even break even or not?
No. So you have to understand, right? So when we imported from China, right? We had to get a container worth of stuff.
Right.
So हमने investment करके container worth of stuff मंगा लिया,
Right.
And we had a total of about 12 SKUs, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
And obviously the 80-20 rule applies, right?
Right.
So there are some products that sold out very quickly and
Right.
some that didn't. But we could not reinvest anything to again get products from China.
Right.
So then gradually over the course of those 3 years, we were only left with 4 or 5 SKUs that were not selling. And by then we had also taken a call किया जितना है B2C में बिक रहा है बाकी B2B में बेच के either to other party stores in the country, etc. and let's wind up the business. It's not
Right.
something that is sustainable or that we'll be able to carry on, but it's taught us a lot. And the most important thing it taught us was that we are not going to be lawyers. We are going to be entrepreneurs. And we want to start up again and we want to, be in business.
Okay.
That's what it is. That
Okay.
was the idea. So I still believe that, you know, the industry, bar party accessories or bar accessories for that matter, right? Redone today, you know, very interesting opportunity even now. It's just that the timing and the way we ran it and us were not the right fit overall.
I don't know if this question really really fits in at this moment or not, but the way you're talking about this, this reminds me of the very famous saying that we have in the startup culture, that you need to be at the right place at the right time to get the business going. So do you think
Absolutely.
so that did not apply for you guys?
Yeah, so it wasn't the right place or the right time for an niche e-commerce business,
Niche
right?
e-commerce
It
business.
wasn't. So yeah,
But do you think so that this is the right time today in which we are?
absolutely. Absolutely. I
Why,
think
why not restart it then? Like,
I'm doing something else, right? So
you have the resources, come on, you can do two businesses.
no, I don't think so, and that's where I completely disagree. I think
Okay.
nobody should.
So Arman, I would want to ask you that, can I say, like, I'm genuinely trying to connect two dots here. Can I say that you disagreeing with me is because of the fact you have learned your lesson from the Ishak business,
Absolutely,
that you need to have a clear focus?
absolutely.
So what would you want to say about that?
So I would say that at that time when we ran that business, it was a part-time business,
Right.
right? Your time, your energy, your attention, your focus was divided, right?
True.
And we've learned that, if you want to succeed, if you want to make something work, then you need to put in your 200%, in one place. And that is why, our focus today, entirely is Sleepy Owl Coffee. And that's what we're
Right.
living and breathing and doing.
Right.
And I wouldn't want to divide my attention to any other ventures or businesses simultaneously, at least, right?
Wow.
In fact, we are contractually not allowed to.
Okay. So that is also there. So that means with your investors and stuff,
Yeah.
you are not allowed to
course,
do this.
no.
Okay. So guys, whoever is watching this, whoever is listening to this right now, please do understand that this is something which I don't think so you're going to get so easily out of anyone. That whenever you're doing a business and if you guys are funded or if you plan to be funded, it's not going to be an easy ride that if you want to do another business. I don't know how are you going to manage that. Can anyone manage that if that's a possibility?
You got to be Jack Dorsey from Twitter to run Twitter and Square and it requires a special kind of someone
Right.
to do that, right?
But
and take that risk.
according to you, in the Indian startup ecosystem that we have with the investors and everything, this is currently not possible.
It depends between investor and entrepreneur, right?
Between the
some-
kind of term sheet that they sign and
absolutely.
everything.
But
that
I think
happens.
as a standard, right? We've raised money from investors to build a certain business, right?
Right.
So my time and energy should
Should
go into
go-
building that business,
should go
right?
into building that business.
So and I think that's absolutely fair.
That's fair. So guys, I hope you understand the whole lesson here, that it's very, very, very important for you to stay focused. And with what Arman said right now, you also need to understand that even if you're at the starting stage of your business, do not try to divulge into a lot of other things, because there are going to be points which might seem enticing, and you will come across stories wherein you will also hear businesses telling you that they were not having enough cash, so they had to take up some temporary projects or do something else. I mean, on a very short stint, I guess that's doable. On a
Of
very
course,
short stint,
I would
that
also
is doable.
encourage people to starting up while you may be at your current job. or
Exactly,
and that's fine.
that's
But there
fine.
comes a time when you say, okay,
Right.
now this is going to
Now
get my
this is-
100%.
Right. I guess that time comes in when, you see that your side hustle, which is your startup right now, is paying you enough that your bills are getting paid or is equivalent to your current job.
Correct.
Right. So that is when you can actually take a switch. So on that point, guys, do keep focus. Do not leave the focus. And if you are doing multiple stuff, make sure that your focus is intact on your startup. Because if you divulge away from the startup, you're not gonna get there. And believe me on that. And we have sitting proof here right now. Investors won't take you on. Like, this is something which I have faced myself. I've heard, and you guys probably would have seen on Shark Tank also right now, that many people say, "Yaar, aap bahut zyada unclear ho." So you need to have that clarity. Clarity and focus go hand in hand.
True.
So just keep your focus on that. So yeah. So now that you did Ishak and you you got done with this and you said,
So yeah,
everything got done, then what happened?
We finished law school,
Huh.
and both Ashwajit and I decided not to sit for any of the placements or the interviews, and I applied to and was fortunate to get selected at a place called Embody, which was an education technology startup in Mumbai, where I joined as you can say management trainee, doing marketing, PR, ops. EA to the CEO, just you wear multiple hats, right? When you join a startup and that's your first job, so you wear multiple hats. Ashwajit, my co-founder, joined a place called Cora Jeans, where he also wore multiple hats during his stint there, right?
Okay.
So we both effectively got out of law school and into working in other organizations, and I think that was helpful. And during the time we spent there, we got to observe how other organizations function, how they work, what goes into it, and short stints but good stints, right?
Okay.
Sleepy Owl has 3 co-founders. Ajay Thandi is our third. Him and Ashwajit are best friends from school.
Right.
They met in boarding school and they've been in touch since. And he was working at JP Morgan in New York.
Right.
And he's an investment banker. But around 2015-16, the same time that Ashwajit and I were starting up, he had moved back to India to, again, ride the wave, be a part of opportunities in India, exploring things here. And the 3 of us essentially came together to start what is now Sleepy Owl Coffee.
Okay, so that's your journey to Sleepy Owl, right? Very interesting journey, honestly. Very interesting journey. And it leaves me with a lot of questions that I really want to ponder upon,
Sure.
because honestly, the life that you have lived, Arman, right? That's something many people dream of living right now, right? As a startup founder,
Thank you.
somewhere I would also myself say that I want to live such kind of a life, right? We have got dreams, and many people are working towards that. So, genuinely, there are like plenty of questions. So let's go back to the very starting point. Okay. The very first thing that you told, that your father is a businessman, right? So firstly, I would want to know that has he been doing only one business, or have you seen him do multiple businesses?
No, I've seen him do multiple businesses over the course of his career.
Okay.
Right? Sometimes you strike gold. Sometimes you have to keep striking till you find gold. So I think he's had a career where there have been hits and misses.
Right.
But I've seen him persevere. I've
Right.
seen him work hard. I've seen him not give up. I've seen him, really, really, really strive for success and excellence.
Right.
And that's always been very inspiring to me.
Okay. So now, if I really have to say, Arman, can I say that the seeds of entrepreneurship or business got sown into you because of your father?
I don't think so, no. I think it was because of my co-founder, Ashwajit. Because he was the one who opened my eyes to the fact that, so my dad's run more traditional businesses, right?
Right.
And of course, every business, traditional or not, requires entrepreneurship.
Right.
Requires entrepreneurial zeal, entrepreneurial thinking.
Right.
But yeah, when I grew up seeing my dad do businesses, it never really struck a chord with me.
It never.
No, it never really struck a chord that okay,
Okay.
yeah, it was more when I reached university and I looked around and did my own research and reading.
Okay.
And spend time with Ashwajit brainstorming and thinking about ideas.
Mhm.
That's when I really discovered that okay, there is
Stuff
we
and-
did. So
Okay.
I mean, again, you have to understand. So my dad ran like a furniture business.
Mhm.
He ran a radiography place. He ran call centers. Again, like which kid goes to a call center and says,
Right.
"Wow, like you have hundreds of people
Right.
making phone calls. This is so cool. This is so interesting." It wasn't like that. His latest business was tea warehousing, like
Right.
warehousing of tea. Again, it's a good business, but do I want to warehouse tea? No.
No.
So I mean, it's just one of those things, right?
Right.
Where the business was slightly traditional in nature,
Mhm.
and my mom's a teacher, and
Right.
her dad, my mom's dad, my nana, and my dad have seen a lot of like hits and misses in business.
True.
So she is, more pro service, more pro job.
So she is more of the like risk averse person.
Slightly risk
Slightly
averse,
risk averse.
but when it came to when it came to me sharing my dreams with her, she was like, it's your life.
You're right.
So I am risk averse, but it's your
Right.
life. So you need my support. We'll back you. We'll like
Right.
be there
Right.
for you. We'll be your champions. And
True.
but yeah, like
You take your own call.
you take your own call. Yes.
Wow. So if I ask you like what is the one thing that you picked up from your father in terms of business? What would that be?
Yeah, I think the idea of never giving up, the idea of persevering, I mean, it's if something doesn't work or if something doesn't go according to plan, then you have to take a step back,
Right.
rethink, restart, redo, So I just find that zeal, that energy, mesmerizing.
Okay. Great. So now another thing that really comes up to me, Arman, that like in one of your interviews, if I remember, you have said that you and Ashwajit probably were on a Thailand trip where
Yeah.
this idea struck you. If I'm not wrong, it was
Correct.
the Ishak idea.
It was the Ishak idea.
It was the
yes.
Ishak idea, right? So if I'm right to say this, yeah, you have been pretty much blessed, right?
Absolutely.
You have been pretty much blessed
Absolutely.
with everything around you.
Absolutely.
Right. So now I would want you to help me and my listeners and the viewers understand that how do you think so? This scenario varies for different people, and how should they be managing stuff? Because as you said, this is a very true situation in many families wherein, fathers do try a lot of businesses and mothers, they are risk averse, and many a times the mother's income that substitutes the income for the family
Yes.
because fathers are busy running and they are taking all the risk and stuff. So what would you want to say for all the listeners and viewers that if they are in such situation, how, let's say their situation is not good at the family, right? How can they still do a startup? Number one. And number two, that I would want you to help me understand is what did you learn from this situation in your own family?
Okay, so I think number one is it's very important to, when you are interested in starting up, I think you need to have family on your side, right? I think fighting a battle, starting up, running a business is a battle against the world,
True.
right? So if you are doing that against the wishes of your near and dear ones, that means you're fighting a battle at home.
Right.
You cannot fight and win both battles, right? You will have to lose one battle, win one battle. And I think it's not a pleasant thing to win the startup battle but lose the family battle, because ultimately, I think you want good relations with people around you, and especially your near and dear ones, right?
Right.
So I think it's very important to, and when you're fighting the battle in the world, there are dark days, and you should be able to go back to your family, your loved ones, and just be like, listen, I need a hug, I need your support, right? I'm very grateful to come from, a family or of, a fair amount of privilege, I would say.
Right.
Because when we started eShack, all I had to do was tell my parents that, listen, I need some money, I want to invest it in this venture, and they said, sure,
Right.
pitch to us, tell us your idea, let's brainstorm it, but
Right.
if you need the money, we'll give it to you, right? And of course, it was quite unfortunate that we sunk most of it, but it was invested in our learning, our growth, right? When we started Sleepy Owl, we went back to our parents, so we had some savings from our jobs, but the bulk of it was, again, listen, we had this new idea, we had this new vision, this is the industry that we want to target, what we want to do.
Right.
Again, convince them to give the seed capital. Lucky that they were able to give that to
Give
us
that
to
seed,
start, right?
right.
In a situation where entrepreneurs who have ideas but don't have access to capital, I think sitting today 2022, there are angels, there are incubators, there are accelerators, there are a lot of different social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, networking events, etc.,
Right.
where you have to go put your best foot forward. You have
True.
to go out of your way to find people who believe in and want to back what you're doing, right?
Right.
So, I think there is scope beyond, like say money from family or money from savings, or there is a lot of opportunity and scope to get that seed capital from elsewhere,
Right.
right?
Right.
But you still, it's still not only about the capital, it's about having your family by your side, telling you that you can do it.
telling you.
When you hear it from them first, then you go out against the world.
Right.
Makes a big difference.
It
right?
does. It does.
So that thing is very important. Family say, and you have to have them on your side, in my opinion.
Right.
Otherwise, it's a lonely and depressing journey anyway. so
Couldn't agree more to
just
that. Right.
having them makes a big difference. So I'd
Right.
say it's not just for the capital, because I don't think everyone who has great ideas may come from privilege, may
True.
come from places where they have access to capital. So the capital will come from elsewhere anyway, right? To start or to grow,
Right.
But having that shoulder to cry on, having that back to fall upon, is very important. And that's.
Okay. And what did you learn from your family when you saw this happening in your family?
So I mean, I think I've seen my mom. She still works 7 days a week. She's a teacher. She's a private tutor though,
Still?
and she still teaches.
Wow.
And you have to understand, like she's taught all her life. Maybe she started teaching because of, let's say, necessity, right? Expenses, become an extra earning member of the family or whatever it is, right? So she started teaching, but today, it's like, if she goes on a holiday for 5 days, she's like itching to go back to her students,
Oh.
and she's built her entire private tutoring business on word of mouth. And what I've learned about that is that if you want, people come to her because they trust her. People come to her because she is reliable. So trust,
Right.
reliability. And where does trust and reliability come from? It comes from dedication to your art and work, right?
Right.
Like I've seen her, how dedicated she is when she's working, when she's teaching, when she's, correcting her answer papers, and everything that she does is so meticulous, so detailed, so well done that, it's led to trust, led to reliability. And then, she has students who started with her in 4th grade and they've been with her till 12th grade, and now they're in colleges around the world or working. And whenever they are back in Calcutta, they come and meet her and, thank her for
Right.
teaching them through their childhood, right?
Right.
That only comes from great customer service, loyalty, good experiences. So all of those things I've learned and applied to my personal self and my business.
I see you're bringing a lot of learning to your business at Sleepy Out from your family. So tell me more about your family. Like, who was this there in your family?
My younger brother,
So you're the elder one.
I'm the elder one, yes, and I have 2 dogs.
So you've got 2 dogs at your
Parents' house. Yes.
You've got, if I remember, 2 dogs at yourself.
3.
3 dogs at yours, and you've got 3 cats also.
8 cats.
8 cats. My goodness.
That's my.
How do you remember the name of the entire family? I cannot imagine that. Like, legend. And apart from chalo, apna naam bhi yaad rakh liya. How do you remember those faces? Like, every cat, sometimes they look same. How do you remember?
Fair enough to an outsider, yes, but it's
Right.
like it's like telling it's like telling a parent that all your kids look the same. They'll just tell you that. But they're all rescues, So
Wow,
I'm
they're all
all
rescues.
rescues, yeah.
Like all,
All.
6 plus 2, 8. 6 plus 9.
11.
Okay. 11,
Yeah.
okay. My
all
goodness.
11 rescues, yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, what does your brother do? What is he into?
So my brother is a personal trainer. He is a fitness
He's
enthusiast.
also into
and
fitness
He's into
enthusiast.
fitness
Wow.
himself. He's he's a qualified personal trainer.
Right.
And he, pre-pandemic it was through a gym. Post-pandemic he's focused on online training and nutrition and guidance, and he has a lot of clients that he works with.
Mm-hmm.
So again, super disciplined.
Wow.
I'm jealous of him, his dedication, his hard work, his
Come
discipline.
on.
It
I'm
is
looking at
phenomenal.
you also do fitness. Come on. You are
Yeah,
into
but-
fitness,
But it's different.
Yeah.
He does it for a living, and when you do it for a living, your level of dedication has to be at another level.
I know,
right?
I can understand,
So
right.
yeah,
I understand. Okay. So, and what about your own family? Like Rebecca's your wife, right?
correct. Yes, yes, of
Rebecca is
course.
there. She's also an entrepreneur.
She's also an entrepreneur.
my
Yes,
goodness.
also in food and beverage. So
Wow.
she runs a kombucha company called
Okay.
Atmosphere Kombucha,
Right.
and He's so both of us are in the beverage business,
My
and
goodness.
both of us are entrepreneurs.
So many beverages at home. आप लोग कुछ खाते भी हो नहीं खाते सिर्फ
नहीं,
पीते
of
हो?
course, so food and beverage, yeah, like hardcore food and beverage. So we're foodies, we're enthusiasts. when it
Honestly,
comes
I
to
wouldn't.
food.
I wouldn't agree to the fact looking at you that you are a foodie. Normally, foodies don't look so fit. ठीक है? Normally,
Thank
they
you.
they don't. Right? Because I am quite a foodie, and if I don't walk or do the physical work, there's a good belly that will
So we do
come
the
out.
same. We eat, but we burn.
You guys
so
burn, right? That's great. So help me understand that. What are you really picking up from your own brother that you're putting in the business?
Again, I
Discipline.
think discipline, 100%. Like, you have to be very, very disciplined in your day-to-day.
And how are you being disciplined in your business?
Yeah, I think, it's important to...
Like, tell me that one instance. I'm sorry to cut you, but tell me
No.
that one instance where you think so. Yeah, Arman, yeah, discipline nahi tha main, and this would have been correct if I was more disciplined. Let's say it could be a marketing campaign, or it could be the whole management stuff.
Sure.
Give me that one
So
anecdote.
I think it's we do it with supply chain now, right?
Mhm.
Where we have a very very clear cut system. Also earlier it used to be a little ad hoc. It's like when I want to
Right.
touch upon something, I touch upon it.
Right.
Now we've implemented like this disciplined structure of Monday and Thursday is when you do supply chain catch ups. So it's not on a
Okay.
Tuesday or a Wednesday or a Friday. It's Monday and Thursday you sit.
Okay.
Every Monday, every Thursday is a supply chain catch up where you iron out supply chain.
Okay.
So anything that needs to come up, anything that you need to
Right.
plan, anything that you need to do, those are the days where you sit. We have agendas, we have timelines, and the whole team is aware that it's a non-negotiable.
Wow.
So that's an example of being disciplined, right? And I didn't implement that actually. I have a colleague who implemented this, but
Okay.
I appreciate it, and I
Right.
feel like this aligns with being disciplined, right?
Right. So Arman, the next thing about since you've got such an interesting family, I can't stop questioning it. So please don't mind me. What do you pick up from your pet family? It's such a big family. What do you pick up from that?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, unconditional love. That's what pets give, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it is phenomenal to have them around.
Right.
They totally brighten up my lives.
Right.
And they make it so much more exciting.
Right.
There's always something to look forward to. You play the role of a caregiver,
Right.
You play the role of you have additional responsibility towards
True.
them, and I think that just makes me more responsible, more mature, more caring, more loving as an individual.
As an individual. Okay, so Arman, so even I have a pet. I have one pet only. ठीक है अभी तो उसको संभालना भी थोड़ा सा वो हो जाता है because the entire family is getting used to it, right? So she's a Labra and her name is Peanut, right? So my father, whenever some guest is at home, they have this common stuff. So they talk about Peanut a lot. Like that's the topic of discussion nowadays. So my father always says one thing, यार पता है मैं जब भी काम से आता हूँ to any guest that Peanut खड़ी होती है दरवाजे पे and she's wagging her tail and उसको देखते ही सारी थकान उतर जाती है, right? So how does it happen for you?
Same. It's the exact same thing, where you come back home and they're all there ready to greet you, want to spend time with you, want to play with you. Both for my wife and I also now it's like one of the topics of discussion ends up being who's doing what, who's up to what, who has in fact this morning before coming my the cats broke a vase.
Oh my god, okay.
हर रोज कुछ टूटता है, so it's just so she was just saying it's like we can't have nice things in the house. So I said I don't want nice things. I think you've lost that I've lost that desire for materialistic nice
Right.
things.
Okay, so Arman, now we know about your family. We know that your father has been into business. Your mother has been a teacher. You learned the perseverance from your dad. You've learned a lot from your mother, right? And discipline comes from your brother. What is that you're picking up from Rebecca?
Very interesting. I think with her I'm trying to pick up
You're trying to, my God.
work-life balance.
Okay.
I think she has like this clear desire for work-life balance where it's like work is work and life is life and you have to balance the two, right? I think she is someone who strives for the idea that you need to look after yourself, you need to
Right.
de-stress, you need to take time for yourself, you know. She's not very pro the 18-hour work days, 20-hour work days. I think her
Okay.
idea is, you know, you have one life, and work is not where you dedicate it. I mean, work is
Right,
important,
right.
but it's not the be all and end all of life. So this
Right.
balance that you have to strive to achieve
Right.
is extremely important. And again, she's very disciplined with her workouts and her, and I'm not as disciplined as her. So yeah, I'm definitely trying to get there. I also feel like she's someone who has an open mind when it comes to accepting and understanding new things, right, and trying new things. So that's another thing that I'm learning and picking up from her as well.
Okay.
She also believes that your work has to be, or things that you do you have to believe in what you do. You can't just do things for the sake of doing it, right?
Right.
So that's something, again, like I feel like is very true, right? Because only if you're passionate about what you do, only if you genuinely believe that you're adding value, can you be 100% with it.
Right. Right.
If you're doing something just to make money, or just to for the sake of doing it, you'll do it. Maybe you'll make money, but वो आपके दिल से नहीं होगा.
Right.
So yeah.
That's a big message, and I can understand I can actually understand when you say you're trying to do that, because it's a difficult place to be in. It's so difficult. So if I'm getting it right, do you still do those 16-hour days, 18
Yes.
hours? Still?
Yes.
Okay. I'm intrigued to ask you, ऐसा कितना काम होता है? Like genuinely, I really want to understand,
It's
because
one of those things, right? It's not about कितना काम होता है. Now I'll explain it this way, right? Like work at a leadership position, right? Your work is not about the, it's not measured by, okay, मैंने इस घंटे में क्या किया. But
Right.
जब तक आपका दिमाग काम पे है ना, जब तक in today's with technology, जब तक आपका WhatsApp आपके हाथ में है ना, आप काम कर सकते हो.
Right, I know.
Right? So there's no, the idea of taking off,
Right.
it doesn't exist.
True.
It's like you're always on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because my work, happens in my head.
Right, true.
And you need to, you're strategizing, you're thinking, you're
Right.
brainstorming, you're, on WhatsApp, coordinating things, just putting things together. So that work can be done anywhere, anytime.
Right.
So, if I'm not getting sleep, I can wake up and I can work from 12 to 2. That's work, right? It's work. I mean, what does that mean? That means getting on my laptop, looking at the next big thing, researching,
Right.
finding contacts, shooting messages to people on LinkedIn for hiring, right?
Right.
That's something I do at night. So it's not that your work hours are 10 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Right.
It's like, yes, maybe I was in office from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. But, it's between 12 and 2 that I shot out,
Right,
LinkedIn
right.
messages to prospective clients, right? Or prospective clients or prospective hires.
Right.
So that, even if you do 1 hour of that, it counts as work, right? So work is therefore 24/7. I think her idea or her way of approaching it is that you need to have downtime. You need to shut off, otherwise you will not be able to give your 100% in the hours that you are.
True.
So that's
true,
where
true.
balance comes in, and you have to, navigate through that. Also different approaches to living, right? Like she's living, prefers slow living slightly,
And you're a fast-paced person.
You don't have a choice.
Okay, so the next thing that I really want to ask is that, before I get to that question, as you mentioned, the first business that you tried at the college was the merchandise business.
Correct.
And apparently, that's the very common business that every student who really wants to do something, that's many of the students try in their
Absolutely.
college days. Right. So what is your take on that business, and what do you think it teaches people?
I don't think I would call it a business. It's more like a project, right? You do it
Right.
for 2 months and then you don't do it for the rest of the year,
Right,
unless
right.
you set up a full-fledged merchandise operation, store, etc. Right? So,
But what is that one learning you think so people tend to pick up, or you picked up very prominently, which has imbibed in a very crucial manner?
Yeah, I
into
think three things. One, identifying opportunity.
you. Okay.
Right, like we felt that in our university it was an opportunity because it didn't exist.
It didn't
So
exist.
you look at a gap and you can fill that gap, right?
Fill
So
that,
that's how all our ideas have come to Ashujit and I and Ajay. Is like, okay, there's a gap. Can we fill that gap? Are we the right people to fill that gap?
Right.
And that's how Sleepy Owl happened
Right.
when we get there. Um, in terms of, one lesson learned is that irrespective of what product or service you're selling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have to give good quality products to people. So we did this merchandising thing for 3 years.
Wow.
So year one, we got fantastic quality, but a very, very delayed shipment.
Okay.
So year two, we changed our vendor.
Right.
And we got an on-time shipment with terrible quality.
My goodness.
And bahut gaaliyan padi. And third year, we again went back to focusing on quality. Right?
Okay.
And that was when we were appreciated. So we realized that, I think people may be willing to wait or experience a delay or, or any negative is fine as long as you don't compromise on quality.
Wow. This reminds me, if I'm right to remember the story from your company, probably I've read it somewhere, that during the COVID times or during the early days, there were times when the delivery wasn't really happening. So you guys went in to do the
Absolutely.
do the deliveries,
Absolutely.
and the deliveries were late, right? But the quality was still maintained.
Absolutely.
So if I'm connecting the dots right, this is the experience
Yeah,
that you.
there are I feel like, everything you do is connected to experiences you've had in the past or
Right.
lessons you've learned in the past and how you apply them, right? So yes, I think we were, from the get-go, we were very, very focused on our overall customer experience.
Overall customer experience.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a great one. Okay, now, Arman, you said one thing that, when you started Ishak, you went back to your parents, you told them that this is the idea. They gave you the money, but they gave you with TNCs. Now let's talk about those TNCs. Okay, so firstly, tell me that experience when they told you, हमें pitch करो, हमें बेचो, and then हम आपको पैसे देंगे. So how was that idea? Because not every parent does that.
Yeah.
And even for any startup founder who's trying to explain it, it's a difficult job.
Yeah.
When you're trying to do something else, chale na chale, that's a secondary,
Huh.
but it's a difficult job. So first tell me that experience. How was it?
So I think, we'd, like I mentioned, we'd gone through college, right? Where we'd started a business and we'd failed. So going back with a second idea, and this time we were quitting jobs. We were quitting, we had job security at least, right? Like
No, I'm talking about the Ishak one.
So Ishak one mein,
When they invested the money,
हाँ.
right, and they gave you the TNCs ki bhai itna laga rahe, itna kar rahe, that thing. I'm
So
talking
there was
about
no terms and conditions on the business. The terms and conditions were all on law school.
that. It's all on law school.
All on law school side. कि आपको ये जो करना है करो, but आप पढ़ाई कर रहे हो.
हाँ.
And therefore, there's value in education, right? There's
Right.
value in studying. There's value in education. So that was where the TNCs were.
Oh.
There were no TNCs on the business.
यार पता है guys, मुझे लगता है ये ना parental में ना parenting, not parental, but parenting में this is something common. कि when you're doing this or when when their children is doing something like this, they tend to ask you or they tend to put up a TNC कि बेटा पढ़ाई पूरी कर लो. Did they also say कि बेटा fall back रहेगा no matter what? Did they say this?
Of course. हाँ हाँ, degree तो लेके आओ.
Degree तो लेके आओ. So did you ask them to drop out that मैं drop करे करूँगा? नहीं. ऐसे.
Because I understood that they were right.
They were right.
Of course.
So what is your take? Because looking at Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, and all these people, there are a lot of people today.
Exceptions.
No,
not
they
the
are
rule.
they are exceptions. They are exceptions. But looking at those people, a lot of college students who are trying to start up, they go back and say, "यार, I want to drop out." They say, "यार, उन्होंने कर लिया, हम भी कर लेंगे."
Yeah, see, for me, it's not as much the degree that is of value. It's the experience that you have through university, right? I think that education is important because
Right.
you train your mind, right? So studying 5 years of law school and the subjects that I studied, the diverse range of topics that I got to discover, learn from, my mind was trained and sharpened, right? The extracurricular, co-curricular activities that you got to do, the kind of people you met, the kind of professors you met, their experiences, their journeys.
Right.
You got exposed to this, phenomenal environment of things, people around you that I would not replace for anything.
True.
So I think everyone should go to college because then you have that security also, right? कि these are your years where you're taken care of.
You're taking care of.
आपको ज़्यादा tension नहीं है.
No tension.
आप बस learn करो, grow करो, imbibe करो, सीखो.
Right.
Those are your years for that, right?
Right.
So I would not replace. I would not go to university. I would not encourage anyone to drop out. Also, that's what shapes you, right? Like if I hadn't gone there, then maybe I wouldn't be here today, right? So it's all connected.
It's okay.
Yeah, and I think we made great friends, great people, have great memories
Right.
from school and university experience. So if you know, everyone should
Everyone
ideally.
should,
So that's why
right.
education is extremely important, and I'm very privileged to even have an education in this country.
Wow.
So
So, Arman, on this note, I have this notion, okay? Engineers के साथ तो मैंने बहुत देखा, but I'm very glad to get your perspective, you being a non-engineer on this, that engineering में तो क्या होता है, हम पढ़ते तो है नहीं, ठीक है? 4 साल सिर्फ ऐसे ही कट जाते हैं, right? And but though in those 4 years जब वो ऐसे ही कट रहे होते हैं ना, we tend to try a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff, and that is what shapes us for the next upcoming life, next phase of life. So what I really want to say is, in our system right now that we're living in, apparently system is not that good enough कि schooling में वो clarity आती नहीं है. धक्के खा के engineering doctor वही सब हो जाते हैं. So it becomes very important that these 4-5 years is where we are actually trying and testing along with creating that secondary backup कि boss अगर fail होते भी हो salary से कुछ तो आ ही जाएगा, पेट पल जाएगा, right? I tend to go by this notion. Otherwise you definitely have those balls of steel that go out, try different stuff, because by the time those 4 years things are taken care of by your parents and everything, you can fail n number of times, they will back you up no matter what, and if you succeed, very good, you've got the clarity, and then you can take on that path. So I have this notion. Would you want to add or say anything
So
about
I'd
this?
say, university is the best time to try entrepreneurship in some way or form, right? It doesn't have to be, a startup where you have to quit your degree. It can be something small.
Right.
But I think everyone should go through the experience of selling a product or a service.
Right.
Which means कि अगर आपकी यूनिवर्सिटी में फेस्ट होता है, right? You should put up a stall and sell something. Anything. Nimbu pani बेच लो, it doesn't matter.
Okay. So
but,
when
but karo, because
right.
that experience teaches you pricing, creating products, pricing them,
marketing,
displaying them, marketing them, selling them, accounting, just a lemonade stand, right? Like I think everyone over the course of their college journey, during fests or etc., where you have an audience coming to you, kuch socho, kuch becho, kuch karo. Like, I had these students junior to me, very cool, man. Like they bought second-hand sports jerseys, so all the football clubs, everything, but great quality second-hand jerseys they picked up.
Right.
They had it displayed and markup karke, they sold it. And I myself bought 2 or 3 and
Wow.
I still have them. And I think they made good pocket money out of that, man. Like, it's not about the money, skip the money. It's
not
just
about the
about
money.
the fact that you found a supplier, you sourced from him, you
Right.
negotiated a price, put up a stall, you sold it.
It's about that experience of
And the fact
executing
that they had that
that.
idea कि अच्छा यार sports fest है तो sports वाले आएंगे तो उनको बेच सकते हैं. And I'm like, man,
Right.
wow, this is really cool.
This is really cool.
So
Absolutely.
it's not about वो 3 दिन का काम है. मतलब 3 days of doing it, right?
Right.
So 3 days of physically selling it, few days of planning it. I think phenomenal, and that's why I say everybody should during their university days do something.
Do something.
It doesn't have to be. This is an example of something small, right? It could be small,
Right.
it could be big, but definitely do it, and also use your skills, right? Like if you are, if you're a photographer, then use your photography skills for monetary advantage. Figure out ki with this skill, how do I make money?
True.
Right?
Agreed.
Because entrepreneurs are not only people who sell products. I think entrepreneurs come in many shapes and
Many
forms.
shapes
In
and
fact, I
forms.
would say a freelancer is also an entrepreneur.
Because he's finding ways to sell himself,
Yes.
sell the service that he's
Yes,
trying to do.
absolutely.
Wow, that's great. So, Arman, since we're talking about selling and you've sold so much stuff in your college days, you've sold a bad quality product also. So, tell me that one experience जहाँ पे लोगों ने आके जूते चप्पल मारते कि भाई क्या दे दिया, तलेट दिया. So, I want to know that anecdote.
Yeah, I don't think कोई किसी ने जूते चप्पल तो नहीं मारे, but they expressed displeasure, and that's more than enough to know that you could have done better, right?
Okay.
And we acknowledged it also.
Okay.
We just acknowledged the fact that yes, this
Right.
is not the best, but it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And yeah, of course, that was about it. Yeah.
That
I don't
is-
think there's any other situation of a really bad experience or a product. And
I get it. Okay. So now, Arman, you did the merchandise business, you did eShack, and then there was this one specific thing. So because even I said that, so that's why I'm coming back to it. We are not going to sit for placements. You and Ashwadi both
Yeah.
said at home, we are not going to sit for placements. So firstly, how was the parental reaction? Because you've got both the things at your place. So I really want to know that reaction.
not too happy. Wondering like,
Okay.
okay, what will they do? Kya karenge? In fact, I did, I was forced into a few interviews. Like,
You first.
I was forced into sitting for some interviews, but
हाँ,
नहीं आया, दिल से ही नहीं आया. तो the
हाँ.
person sitting on the other side also knows कि इसको ना कुछ आता है, क्योंकि इसने prepare ही नहीं किया है. तो मन नहीं था उसमें types.
Right.
But yeah, I did tell them that we will look for alternatives, and we did find our alternatives. We found our different ventures or startups or organizations that did place us, right. So we did get placed, and we did at least have a job
तो
out of law
ये
school.
फोर्स किसने किया? मम्मी ने किया, पापा ने किया?
दोनों ने किया कि यार प्लान क्या है, कुछ तो हो, मतलब ठीक है.
हाँ.
We're okay if you don't want to, but then what? And we didn't have an answer. So then there was no option but to sit.
But to sit. Okay. So now that you sat, you went to Imbibe, right? First of all, the very first thing that I want to know, you've switched 2 cities by now,
Yeah.
right? And you have gone to Bombay. Okay. Imbibe was in Bombay. What ceilings did Bombay break for you? Because Bombay is a very different city altogether. So what was the ceiling that got broken up?
I mean, I loved Bombay, and again, here comes the question of adaptability, right? Like,
Right.
for me, made no difference that it's Bombay or Bangalore, Hyderabad, Chennai, Kolkata, Jaipur, Indore.
Right.
Makes no difference.
Mhm.
I think it's a city at the end of the day. So you go build your communities, your life around it. That time, life took me to Bombay.
Mhm.
So I'm happy in Bombay. I'm not somebody who who complains too much.
Right.
I don't think there's any reason to complain, right? Like, that's where life has chosen for me.
Right.
So till I'm there, like, I have to be happy. I have to enjoy myself. I have to find friends. I have to find a community. I have to find my colleagues, and live and enjoy that life.
Mhm.
And that's what I did.
Right.
So
Right.
loved Bombay.
You loved Bombay. So now you also told us, Arman, that you were the marketing evangelist at Imbibe.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
And you were playing multiple roles.
Yes.
So first of all, did you by choice applied for that position, or what was it?
So, Aditya Avasthi, who is the CEO of Imbibe, turns out to be a family friend.
Okay.
So it was around the time that I was graduating that they were starting and they'd raise money and stuff like that. So I got introduced to her. So she asked me, like a little brother, like, hey, what are you planning to do? And I said, listen, I ran this business, eShack, and, I'm in law school, but this is not of interest to me, and I'm looking to get out of law into another field.
Right.
So she, invited me over to Imbibe in Mumbai. I spent time with her. I spent time with the organization for a weekend, and I quite enjoyed what they were building and what they were doing. And I just took the plunge and said that if you give me the opportunity, then I'm willing to do anything you say. I'll do it. I'll learn.
Wow.
I have
Right.
to learn. For me, at that point, it's like I don't have too much to offer, right? But
I have too much to learn.
I have too much to learn, and in exchange, like, whatever you need me to do, I will try and pick up those skills and I will contribute to the business.
Okay.
So that was the arrangement.
So now that you are into that business, you're playing multiple roles. How was your mindset? Because by now you know that you're gonna sit into the entrepreneur seat at
yeah,
some point.
yeah.
So what was in your head when you
So
were really
it was very simple. It was there it's not like a skill, right? Ki mujhe
Right.
ye aata hai. There's all the soft skills then, like be on time, be disciplined, work hard, take initiative, ask for work, seek opportunities. Be a team player when you're required to be a team player. Have
Right.
respect and regard for all those around you.
Right.
And I think those soft skills are what I was focused on giving. So technical work skill, तो मैं सीखने गया था, and whatever I could contribute, I did. But it was being this person who fits these qualities, right? Always.
Right.
And I think that's what most freshers are at the end of the day, right? That's what you have to be. You have to have these qualities or strive to be this way so that you get good work and you give whatever you can in return.
Okay.
If you're not getting in for a technical role.
No, so Arman, I have a slightly different opinion here, right? So what I believe is that, firstly, not everyone is meant for entrepreneurship because everyone has their own different beliefs, how they want to live life. Entrepreneurs are a lot of times self-motivated also, and they are moving at a very fast pace, and all those things are happening by the way they're moving. And then there are a lot of people who really want to move slow, and they do not want a lot from life, but they do want to thrive the corporate ladder. So on that part, I feel that what you said right now, seek opportunities, and right, be in time,
It applies to the
respective.
corporate ladder as well.
Exactly.
Of course, 100%.
Exactly. So that's what I want to tell my listeners and viewers, that guys, even if you are not into business and you just want to get a good promotion, or you want to get to that VP, CEO positions, this still applies to you. And if you get through this, you're gonna enjoy this. I mean, definitely at your part, monetary benefits are a lot, and there are added benefits. This will just help you be a better person in every manner. So it's not just being an entrepreneur, you need to do that. You need to do that irrespective, right? That's my belief. So even if you're a tech guy, you seek opportunities, you go for front and back end, eventually you'll end up being a full stack, right?
Absolutely.
So it just adds on. Wow. So after working for how many years did you decide to?
9 months.
9 months में decided कि भाई अब ना हो पाएगा. So by the time 9 months were going on, so was Ashwajit also in Bombay, or was he somewhere else?
He quit his job, I think, in a couple of months from Delhi, and came to Bombay, and
With you, right?
yes, and said we should start something.
So you guys were staying together in Bombay.
Yes.
So how were you guys managing your rent?
So I was anyway paying rent, right? So we were okay.
And what about the khana pina?
We share and care.
You sharing it? Okay, so how was that experience? Like you guys are planning something. One is managing the rent, and you're still doing that job, and you're still trying to find that idea, right? कि हम क्या कर सकते हैं. How was that experience of going out every day, trying to do something? And if I'm not wrong, there is a story where you guys would go and find different coffees, drink different coffees from Starbucks to everything. So I really want to know
Yeah.
that way.
So, firstly, I think in that moment it wasn't even coffee specifically, right?
Okay.
It was first finding what is the industry, what is the area that we feel that we could do something that we are interested in, right? Because
Right.
at the end of the day, आपको इंटरेस्ट होना चाहिए. अगले 5, 10, 15 साल आप किसी चीज़ में लगाओगे, so आपको इंटरेस्ट होना चाहिए in solving a problem. So
Right.
our due diligence, research, etc., we felt that food and beverage is where we are enthusiastic, where we are passionate, where we are interested in the area, right? So we will solve for a problem in this area.
In this
So
area,
while
right.
researching for what are the problems, in food and beverage, we ended up spending a lot of time working out of Starbucks, right?
Okay.
Because I used to go to office. Ashwajit was at home. Obviously, घर पे काम होता नहीं है, so he would go and sit at Starbucks. I would go meet him at Starbucks for my lunch break and then
Right.
post work.
Right.
And we spent a lot of time there. So gradually, I used to, I was a office machine coffee drinker, which I didn't like, but it was okay. Ashwajit was someone who really enjoyed a good cup of black coffee, and he used to make it himself at home in a French press, and and he would also go to Starbucks and buy coffee because he's spending time
Wow.
there. So I would spend more and more time with him. I started drinking black coffee.
Right.
And in our research on food and beverage and trends in food and beverage, we came across trends in coffee. And then we looked at our own behavior around it. And he called Ajay, and he was talking to Ajay as well about it. And Ajay was like, yeah, I've just come back from New York. Coffee in investment banking world
Right.
is like a big thing. And he said that coffee is also really blown up all over the US. It's something that's already very big, but so much innovation happening in coffee.
True.
Ashwajit and I, again, looked at each other and we were like, man, like I am Arman, me as a consumer who is just grown up having cold coffee, instant coffee, cold coffee. And, that's been my standard go-to beverage.
Uh-huh.
Whereas Ashwajit is someone who is, more of a connoisseur who sources a certain kind of beans and grinds
Okay.
it and makes a French press. At Starbucks, he was spending a solid 200, 250, 300 rupees a cup.
Wow.
Whereas, in office or at home, you had only access to machine wali coffee or instant coffee. So there was, very, very quickly, the three of us, understood कि यार यहाँ पे gap है.
Yeah.
There is a gap in in-home coffee consumption and
Right.
FMCG coffee, and then we started researching the space deeply.
Right.
During this deep research, we discovered that it is fundamentally broken. There has been no innovation in-home coffee in decades. There are a handful of players that dominate the space, and within that also it's dominated by very regular instant coffee, right? But when you find a problem or a gap like this, you also have to understand how you will fulfill that gap.
True.
And that research led us to supply side, right?
Right.
What in this I can be very honest, was coffee ukti ka hai.
Ah.
We didn't know.
Right.
It's like a first exposure to full commodity, right?
Right.
So we learnt about where coffee is grown. It's grown in
Right.
Chikmagalur, Coorg in Karnataka.
Right.
India is one of the world's largest exporters of
exporter,
coffee.
right.
We export 90% of our best quality coffee out because in India, people fundamentally do not care as much or did not care as much about the kind of coffee they're drinking. They're used to an instant coffee, which is made with, it's not always made with, but the companies that are making it make it with fundamentally inferior ingredients.
Right.
I'm not going to get too technical
No
on
worries,
this
no
because
worries.
I think there's a lot of,
I know. बहुत ज्ञान हो जाएगा उधर कॉफी के बारे में.
So we said, okay, can we give a better quality product to the customer? Can we do it in a manner that is more convenient, easy to use, great tasting? Answers to all of this were yes.
Right.
Right. And with that knowledge, with that notion, we actually took a one-way ticket to Chikmagalur, where this
One-way ticket.
Yes.
क्या सोच के किया था पहले ये
कि
बता.
पहले जाएंगे तो देखेंगे कितना वक्त लगेगा वहाँ पे.
Oh my
So it took
God.
about 10 to 12 days of spending time there with the farmers, the traders, understanding the supply chain of coffee. Our whole business is going to depend on sourcing this raw material.
Right. Right.
So you need to have that knowledge of where it's coming from, how will the supply be consistent, what quality will it be, what type will it be, understanding the nuances. So we went there and with a blank slate, say no question is a stupid question. So we asked a lot of stupid questions, but got that knowledge, got that information, came back with it and said, okay, now this is what we're going to do. And we decided to, we knew that to actually make a difference, in consumer businesses, you cannot just launch a product that is similar to what is selling in the market, right? You can't just do that. You have to be doing something very different, very unique to stand out. So we made two decisions. One is that we will sell directly online to customers because that is the fastest way to get to your consumer.
True.
And second is, we launched India's first cold brew coffee, which is essentially a process of brewing coffee in cold water overnight. That makes a cup that is less acidic and less bitter and therefore extremely smooth in taste. And we wanted to encourage Indians to try cold brew, which they can have black. It's not very bitter. You can add milk and make a cold coffee out of it, which is what we've traditionally grown up drinking. Cold brew also has a longer shelf life, and we had to figure out how to package this in a way that is exciting, that catches eyeballs.
Right.
And we did what we call the bag and box packaging.
Right.
And we put that product out there. So we quit our jobs in December, and in June we sold our first product. It was a 6-month time frame from idea to launch. So those 6 months were the months where, we really, really worked hard to make sure that we launched soon.
Right.
Because we knew that, cold brew was a trend. There were businesses and brands in the UK and the US that were doing it. And we knew that this trend would eventually come to India. So being first movers was important to us. And we knew that it's also going to, take time to grow this. So the earlier we start, the more time we have to grow it. Also, when we quit our jobs in December, we said this product is a summer product, So we can't miss this summer.
You can't miss this summer.
You can't miss this summer. We can't wait till next summer. So we just went for it.
My God, मतलब ये 6 महीने यार, honestly, मेरे को तो लगता है मैं 1 घंटा इन 6 महीने के बारे में बात करता हूँ, but ऐसा नहीं करूँ. Because firstly, the very first thing, I know can sound very stupid. You went in with a one-way ticket. पहले बात तो budgeting कुछ नहीं करी. Like seriously, घुस गए. And also, job छोड़ के गए थे या फिर 1-2 jobs थी छोड़ गए?
हाँ जी,
quit करके then you went to with one-way ticket. तो जो थोड़ा बहुत पैसा था savings का, उसके साथ में you went in. तो वहाँ पे how were you guys staying? Like अच्छा होटल था, सस्ता होटल?
नहीं, regular place, just
regular places.
Yeah. Nothing. I don't remember. It wasn't a hotel. It was just more of a guest house type thing.
अच्छा. So when you guys went there, did you tell your parents about the fund beforehand? तो मतलब वहाँ से जो seat cap आना था वो आ चुका था? Was it अभी नहीं आया था?
अभी नहीं आया था.
अभी नहीं आया. So it was all on your savings and stuff. Wow.
But they were aware that,
They were aware
that this is what we're doing, and they principally approved of the idea.
Principally approved of the idea.
That's a cool idea. Karo. Dekho.
देखो
क्या
क्या
है?
होता है. Okay, so you guys went to Chikmagalur, you came up with this, and then सारा काम किया. And how difficult was pulling this timeline? And when you guys put out, you know, हमें timeline pull off करने वाले. Firstly, did you put this in writing?
Yes. So it was.
Did you write somewhere कि हाँ?
No,
6
we didn't.
months
We didn't
पहले?
write 14th June 2016 on a piece of paper.
हाँ.
But you know, we'd agreed that you know, say that okay. So we actually, you know, the strict deadline that we gave ourselves was 15th March
Okay.
2016. Reason for March was that we wanted to introduce the product at our university fest.
Okay.
So our university fest was in March. We were in Chikmagalur in Jan. So we said between Jan and March, we should launch once and get people to try it and get real feedback. Do people even
Okay.
enjoy cold brew? Maza aa raha hai, nahi aa raha hai?
Hmm.
In March, when people tried it at the Jindal Law School Fest,
Right.
it was a phenomenal response. But that's also where we learned that यार हमें ये direct to consumer ही बेचना पड़ेगा. So March, April, May, June,
हाँ.
you know, in March we gave ourselves a deadline that we have to launch direct to consumer. So website, packaging, product,
सब 6 महीने.
सब 3 महीने में,
हाँ,
April,
मतलब
May,
3
June,
April,
हाँ
May, June.
करना है. So there were some challenges because one of our packaging materials was coming from China. So that is a 2-month process. You can't, there's no way to do that. 1 month of manufacturing, 1 month of logistics, shipping. So we knew कि अच्छा ये 2 months में ये piece of the puzzle will come.
That means you
That
hardly
means-
have 15 days. 15 days to 30 days maximum to get this thing sorted.
हाँ मतलब that piece of the puzzle will take 30 days to 60 days to come.
Right.
That means if that is the last thing that will come,
Ah.
then all the other parts, you have only 60 days.
60 days. True.
So website, packaging, logistics, design, product, coffee, product improvements, FSSAI license, company registration. मतलब बहुत जो भी था, we had to crunch it into that 60-day timeline because that was the last thing. So we can't say वो आएगा तब बाकी करेंगे. It was like सब कुछ करके रखो जब वो आएगा you can launch. So that was the way we did it.
So what was
So as an entrepreneur, you have to create artificial deadlines for yourself.
Oh my god, that's like a blood pressure पता है. मैं कभी जब भी करता हूँ मैं तो blood
Yeah,
pressure.
it's an artificial dedeadline because no one is there to tell you ना कि ये
Right.
deadline है. तो
No,
आपको
no.
खुद create करके फिर अपने आप को मारामारी करनी पड़ती है.
Right. I totally agree to that. This happens.
Yeah.
So according to as per your experience, what was the hardest thing in those 2 months?
I think the waiting, man. You know, because you have something good.
As well.
You know that you are onto something,
Uh-huh.
but you have to wait. So impatience, you know, कि मतलब मैं तो कल launch कर दूँ. But you have to wait, you know. So you have to follow up with your manufacturers, follow up with people who are. So whether there was, you know, I think was उतना pressure हमने किसी पे कभी डाला नहीं था, right? Also, now we were effectively out of work, right? We were sitting waiting to launch our business. So then that period is like, okay, you know, like.
आए हम बेचे कुछ तो धंधा शुरू हो.
हाँ, कुछ तो धंधा शुरू हो, पता तो चले.
दिखाने को वो पता चले that we'll get this.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So couple of questions here. The first question being, you and Ashwajit are friends.
Yeah.
Ashwajit and Ajay are friends.
Yes.
Right. So you and Ajay, technically as of now, are not friends. You were introduced by Ashwajit.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
So how was the tuning? Like, because very first thing, you know, ज़रूरी नहीं होता ना कि एक friend of friend मिल जाए and this thing really goes. So Ashwajit is the center point, right? So how was your reaction when you were like, अच्छा ठीक है, this I'm the one coming in and I'll have to gel with it. So how was your?
I think it was, you know, there were two aspects to this. One is, you start any business with friends or with co-founders, there has to be this trust factor, right? Now I knew that Ashwajit would give his life for Ajay and vice versa, right?
Oh.
And I know that he would do it for me and vice versa, right? So therefore, there is no reason
There's no reason.
for me to doubt or
Right.
question what this would mean. So
What
we
this
started on a very, very good note. We both felt the same
Oh.
way and there was this understanding. Second is,
Mm-hmm.
when it's not because हम 3 friend है तो हम साथ में शुरू करेंगे. We actually had complementary skill sets, right? Like what Ashwajit does, Ajay can't do. What Ajay does, I can't do. What I can do, they can't do. So we had three very different skill sets. So it made sense to come together.
To come.
It wasn't yari dosti mein kar lete hain. It was very thought through,
Thought through.
right? And I think that is very important when you start, right? So the three of us today also do very, very different things for the business. Our roles don't overlap. They don't collide. And, that's what helps us stay sane. It helps us ensure that each one is, owning their piece of the puzzle. And that's what makes us click.
What I really want to learn is how were the experiences of your very first? So when I say the first, how was the experience of having a first office? How was the experience of that first transaction from the 10th customer you mentioned, right? So, and how was the experience of sending out the first package? So tell me about the first.
I think all firsts, generally are, you have a nervous euphoria.
Right.
Euphoria because, it's a high, it's exciting, you're happy, you're, enjoying it. Nervousness because you are waiting for it to go right. So first office was, euphoric, no doubt. You finally got out into the real world, real space. Nervousness because you're spending money,
right?
To set that space up, to be there.
Right.
First package going to a customer, euphoric because we packaged it ourselves. I packaged it with my own hands. And then nervousness because of reaching to the customer. What will he think? Whether it received in good condition? So I think, with all firsts, it's a nervous euphoria. That's what I'm going to use.
Wow. I mean, that's a very... I don't know, काफी लोगों शायद समझ में नहीं आएगा, but it's like, I'm trying to decipher it, so just tell me if I try to decipher it right. कि it's like you are nervous, आपको नहीं पता है कैसा चलेगा, but still you have that hope कि अच्छा करेगा.
हाँ.
Right.
And excitement.
And excitement भी है, थोड़ा डर भी लग रहा है, पता है होगा, पता है ऐसा भी होगा, and that is a work out, right? Oh my God, ठीक है. So Arman, the first things are sorted. Now tell me how's your parents' reaction now, and what does your father say about this as a business?
I think they're very proud. They're very happy that we are finding some sort of success, some sort of product market fit, some sort of appreciation from things. Of course, their friends, their families, they themselves are now regular customers.
Wow.
So they have a lot of pride, no doubt. There's still nervousness, excitement, okay, where is this going? How does it work? Because I think, the funding, investor, environment.
That thing is new to them?
Yeah, fairly new, right? It's new to us also.
True.
So I think, but they are just supporters, so they're good supporters, and all three of our parents are very happy and proud that we're doing it, and they genuinely love the products that we are creating, and they know that what we're doing is, new and innovative and exciting, and hum kuch hatke kar rahe hain. So I think they're proud of the fact that velya nahi mare.
So Arman, in your entrepreneurial journey, what according to you was your biggest failure? Like the worst situation? How you handled it, how you got out of it, what did it teach you?
Okay, so I think, we have very strong checks and balances. So we're selling coffee at the end. We're repackaging coffee, right? And we're making products out of coffee. So it's a raw material. It's an agricultural product, right? So there are variations. There are quality checks you have to put in place to make sure that you're giving people a consistent taste, right? So I think one of the biggest failures, or one of our biggest issues, happened last year, 2021, around this time, where we received a batch of coffee that passed through the initial quality checks, but while it was with us, it turned bad, right?
Okay.
And of course, we had shipped out a lot of product to customers online, retail stores, everywhere, right? And even then, the issue was that, it is very, very difficult because, to identify which exact batches had the issue or which exact batches didn't. So we, whatever raw material we had with us, we had to blindly discard upwards of a couple of thousand of kgs of coffee. And we had to do a product recall where we could. And we had to, deal with a lot of online complaints. But again, that's where, let's say we personally called each and every customer, spoke to them, replaced it, acknowledged it, dealt with the whole thing, and then employed strong traceability footprint throughout our process to ensure that something like this, does
Never
not happen
happens.
again. So from root cause to, and I think it was a tough experience, but we've come out of it stronger. We have, a lot more strength now in our traceability, in our production, quality checks. Everything is like, improved so much. So like I said, theek hai, it happened that time, it
Happens.
happened, but it shouldn't happen again, and it shouldn't happen at a larger scale.
You need to learn, make it better, move on.
Yes.
Okay. So, Arman, a very good insight into the business, a very good insight into your life, right? Now, something more about from what you have come from to what you have become, right? And to what you have in your head. Okay. So, first thing first, okay, you came from a well-to-do family, wo sort hua, but we have seen that entrepreneurial instinct, you were tha, right? You've come to this point where you're making money now, right? It's fair to say you're making money. You do derive your salary from the company, right? Now help me, my viewers and listeners understand that what is your financial literacy? How do you manage your funds? Like you derive X amount of salary. How do you manage it? Do you invest? Do you have like mutual funds, real estate, or how do you manage your finances? Tell
Okay.
us more.
Yeah, so personally, I invest.
Okay.
It's a little bit of mutual funds, some stocks, but nothing more than that.
Nothing
Of
more.
course, I do my tax saving schemes, PPF and those things,
Right.
but pretty standard.
Right.
So you got to take aside a certain chunk of your salary, put it into savings, and that is where into stocks or anything that where you can let it compound.
Let's come back.
Right. So
Right.
compounding is the principle you follow, and that's pretty much what I do.
So is there any percentage rule that you follow otherwise?
No, not in particular.
Right,
I
not in-
don't.
not in
Yeah,
particular.
yeah. But I should be, but not in particular. It's a place where I also feel like I need to improve and learn. So that's what I'm doing right now.
So how do you do this? Like how do you enhance that pieces
I-
of knowledge?
So you have to, again, where you have doubts, you have to spend time reading, learning, becoming financially literate, right? You have this information available on the internet. You talk to friends. You talk to I talk to other people who have mobile. I talk to my parents about it as well. So you have to get your information from a mix of sources, but ultimately you have to apply it. That's the key.
That's the key according to you. So are you a real estate kind of a person?
No.
Startup investment person? Are you planning to invest in startups?
Yes, of course I want to. I want to give back to the ecosystem,
You
but
wanna
I
give
think it'll take some more time before
more
I
time.
can actively do it.
Right.
Right now I've done very little,
Okay.
but I would like to do more.
So before we wrap up, so guys, as I always do on my podcast, there's some stuff, okay, that I would want you to pick up from Arman. Like, okay, number one is that I really loved the way these three guys sat down and picked up the idea. I always say that the idea is around you, and it was
True.
genuinely around you. And what you really need to pick up from their story is these guys were actually searching for the idea. And when they were searching, they stumbled upon the very core thing that they were doing on a daily basis. So even if you're trying to do it, you'll find it around on a daily basis. So just look properly and you'll be there. Second thing, try to go towards the clarity, right? Though I really love the way Arman got the clarity during the law school that nahi bhai, ye na ho paega. Ab kar lete hain entrepreneurship. That clarity was very, very important, and that did pave the way.
It was
for him.
it was more ye nahi karna, not
Yeah.
na ho paega. I think I'm pretty confident that even in that field I would have possibly done something interesting.
I would actually take my word back. Ye na ho paega. It's like ye nahi karna, because that clarity is very important. Very honestly, कि आप वो कर सकते हो, but just that if your heart is not into
Yes,
it, you're
that's
not
correct.
gonna. Yeah, I'll beg my pardon there. Right. So your heart needs to be there, right? And the very, very important thing is the focus. I mean, कुछ उठाओ ना उठाओ, you just pick up this focus stuff. Killing the market with one product, insane. So Arman, really kudos
Thank you,
to
Sarthak. Thank you so much. I think it was a phenomenal conversation, and I appreciate you having me here and to do this with you.
Thank you so much, Arman, for coming in on the show. It's been a pleasure talking to you. There's so much to learn from you. And guys, before we wrap up, let me do this again. If you haven't tried Sleepy Owl, you need to try Sleepy Owl. ठीक है, गर्मी आ गई है, cold brew है, पी लो please. इसी से काम नहीं चले. You need to have that post lunch, energy, pump of caffeine. So do try that. Take that up. And yes, also one more thing. If you guys, many of you my guys might not know, but Arman told this to me. So Arman does this one session, I guess every Saturday, Arman, where in early morning he does sessions with budding entrepreneurs where he helps them out. So would you
Yeah.
please tell about that?
So I love talking to people. I love spending time sharing my experiences and my story. I don't believe कि मैं कोई ज्ञानी हूँ या मुझे बहुत कुछ पता है. I think today also everything that Sarthak has done is he's only brought out my experiences, right? And through these experiences, there are lessons, there are stories that come out. So it's not a fixed thing, but if anyone reaches out and Sarthak can share my email ID, phone number, on the links that are shared, and anyone who writes to me, I always write back. And if I haven't written to anyone, you can call me out for it, write back to me, and I'll write back again. But my aim is to just talk to you guys and guide you in any way. And if you have questions, because I think nobody should reinvent the wheel, right? I'm not saying that I will help you take shortcuts, but if there's
You can learn from the
if there's a
man.
faster, smarter way to do it,
Yes.
then happy to chat and discover that, right? So yeah, that's what.
Did
he's
you
referring
so
to.
please guys feel free to reach out to Arman and have the bits and pieces, which probably a few things I might have missed. Please feel free to do that. And with that said, Arman, I really want to thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. It was a pleasure learning, mental
Thank you.
session.
Fantastic, Sarthak. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys. See you soon. Bye bye.